Assalamu alaikum. Hope you all are fine. In this video, we will learn about the ethers. And firstly, about the ethers, we will see its nomenclature first. So, firstly, in the nomenclature, we will see its common naming. How we can give them a common name to the ethers. So as you can see, ether are those compounds in which there are two alkyl groups attached on the both sides of oxygen atom. So these are some examples of ethers that the first one is dimethyl ether. So firstly, its rule is very simple, as give alkyl names to the carbon groups, alkyl groups bonded to the oxygen followed by ether. So firstly, we will name the alkyl group that is attached on the oxygen atom, and we write its name. That, as you can see on the first compound, that has two methyl groups attached on both sides of the oxygen atom. So we will name, because these are two same groups attached on the oxygen atom, so we will name it as di, because di for two, and methyl group is attached as alkyl group on the oxygen, and we will name it as dimethyl and ether. At the end, we will name it as ether. So at the as you can see, the other example that has two different alkyl groups. One is methyl group that has one carbon atom, and the other is ethyl group that has two carbon atoms, and we will name it as ethyl methyl ether. Why we will name it as ethyl methyl ether, or we will not name it as methyl ether? Because of the alphabetic order, ethyl comes before methyl, because E comes before M. So we will name it as ethyl methyl ether. And the other example has two different alkyl groups. One is methyl group and the other is propyl group. So we will name it as isopropyl, methyl and ether, because propyl P comes before M. And the other example is butyl, 4 carbon chain, and cyclopropyl. So we will name it as secondary butyl cyclopropyl ether. So these were the common naming and some rules to name the ethers, to give ether the common names. Were some examples of ethers and how to give them common name. So this is the basic rule, as we have to name alkyl groups attached on the oxygen atom, and then we add ether at the end. So these were the common naming of ethers. And the other is IUPAC naming of ethers. So first rule is to find the root name of the smaller R alkyl group. Example, methyl, ethyl or propyl. So we will have to firstly find the shorter chain or a smaller alkyl group, and then on with it add the oxy, OXY, oxy. So we will name it as methoxy, ethoxy or propoxy. And the last rule is add the full name of the larger R group, that is alkyl group. So as you can see below, there is an example that has two alkyl groups attached with the oxygen atom. And as you can see, at one side there is a methyl group that contains one carbon atom, and the other is propane that contains three carbon atom chain. So as you can see the rules above, the we have to find out the smaller alkyl chain, that is the one carbon methyl. And as you can see, we find the small uh, small alkyl chain alkyl group, that is methyl, and we will have to add oxy with the methyl, so it will form some methoxy. And we have to write the full name of the larger alkyl group, that is propane, so it will name as methoxypropane. So these were the basic rules for the IUPAC naming of the ethers. And the other is also the IUPAC naming of the ethers. We have some examples. As you can see at the first example, there are two different alkyl groups attached with the oxygen atom, and we have to name it according to the IUPAC rules. So we will have to first find out the smallest or smaller alkyl group, that is, as you can see, ethyl, that has two carbon atoms, and propyl, that has three carbon atoms, and it is the larger number of carbon atoms as compared to ethyl. So we will write ethyl firstly, and the other is the isopropyl ether. So these are the naming of ethers. And as you can see the other example, that is a methyl group and a ethyl group. So oxygen contains one ethyl group, and at the other end it is attached with the ethyl group. So we will write the name as ethyl methyl ether because of the alphabetic order. And the other is example is the oxygen has a propyl group and the tertiary butyl group. So we will name it as tertiary butyl propyl ether. So these were the IUPAC naming of the ethers and the nomenclature of ethers, and there are some basic rules to name the ether. Thank you so much. Take care. Allah Hafiz.